This is my first podcast slash video interview with Dean, and Dean is a teacher in Regina, and I'll let Dean. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Sure. Well, it's an honor to be part of your first podcast. So thanks, Curtis, for the invite. Yeah, I teach in Regina. I teach at Archbishop M.C. O'Neill Catholic High School, and currently I'm teaching grade 9 through 12, mostly math, but also some social studies, which I really enjoy as well. I'm also doing a little online teaching of math and native studies, actually, which has been really cool. And yeah, I'm just really excited to have a conversation with you tonight.
Awesome. Yeah, it's good to have you. So today what we're going to be doing is we are going to be discussing Wakelet. Wakelet is...
Love Wakelet.
Yeah, Wakelet is a tool that, pretty powerful tool, I would say, to collect resources. And so I have seen a lot of people use it personally, but also starting to dive into what teachers are using Wakelet for in the classroom. So that's going to bring us to our first question, which is, Dean, how are you using Wakelet in your teaching?
All right. Well, I'm going to try to share my screen here with you. So when you put it on YouTube, you can take that. But so I'm going to go to this one right here and share. And can you see my screen all right?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so this is my teaching one, and I use Wakelet in a variety of ways. So I've used it in our ECI 832 class. I even did a whole thing with network identity. I find it really great in that class. To help my professional development out, I can definitely go inside of it. And what I'm able to do inside of this Wakelet is to curate a bunch of different resources. It can be websites, it can be PDFs, it can be YouTube videos, and the list goes on. So it definitely helps you kind of curate and collect a bunch of work. So then you know where it is, it's easy to organize. Then it's also easy to embed, it's easy to share with others, those types of things. So I really find it a go-to, and that's one of the ways that I do it. I've also used it with my students a lot, talking about views of civilizations with them. I've collected tweets from a previous class. One thing I want to get better at, actually, is to use Wakelet in my math class and develop Wakelets and put a bunch of the videos in that would relate to the subject we're learning, like the one I have up here is on slope, and then open it up and allow kids to add videos and things that they would see and really try to make it kind of a resource for us all. So we did some PD last year in our division in Regina Catholic Schools. We have something called the Connected Educator Program. So what we were able to do is curate and take all the great PD that was being shared on Twitter and collect it into one Wakelet. I've also hosted a Go Formative chat, and I was able to take the whole Twitter chat, just like SaskEd chat, and put all the tweets from that in so people can share. And if you missed it, you can go back in and read through some of the materials that were going on. And another thing I did is I used it in the IT Summit, talking about what a connected educator is. So I made a Wakelet and I put the interactive links on there, and I was able to organize it. You could put titles and stuff. So it's just really great for me to, as a teacher and for my professional learning, use something like Wakelet that I can, put things into, curate, add, share, and all those good things. In my classroom, we've been doing a lot of things. These are mostly social studies 9s examples that I have up right now. For example, one of the things we did was we talked about current events. So what the students were able to do is to go in there and do the who, what, where, and why. And they were able to add YouTube videos, and they were able to add PDFs, graphics, all those type of things, and go in and put text in as well. I even opened one up, and they were even able to take pictures from a Minecraft project that we did, and take the pictures and put them inside of a Wakelet, so you can kind of go through and see all the different work that the kids were doing. And the kids had a blast, being able to share. So You can see now like a lot of the work that they did and how they made things. And it was really, the kids, like I said, really enjoyed it, and I liked it. And it was a good way to collect information, from them.
Mm-hmm.
We also did a lot of work with on the election. So a lot of times what we did with that is the kids were tweeting and they were able to collect their tweets, but then they also were asked to watch like a YouTube video and comment on it. So they would embed their tweets in there, embed the YouTube video and talk about it. They were also able to take like a PDF and put it in. So you can kind of see an example of, kind of a current event where they, with the election and how they put that in with tweets and different things. So I like it because you can put a lot of different media inside of there, which I think makes Wakelet one of the better tools out there for curation as well. We were even, kids were even using it. We were doing ancient civilizations,
Mm-hmm.
and they were using it as a repository for their links and their research that we did. So this group was doing on China, and what they were able to do is put that all in and share it with me, and I can make comments on it. They can move things and put different, topics inside what they were working on to match their outline. And I thought the group that did this did a really good job. It's definitely an exemplar for that. So, students can use it for research purposes and, collecting and curating. And the other one that we were doing too is we did a whole thing in Minecraft again, talking about archaeology. And so they had to do an archaeology assignment, and the pictures and inferences they did inside of Minecraft, they were able to convert to PDF and put inside of Wakelet.
Mm-hmm.
And they were also able to do some tweets and some YouTube. And what was cool inside of Wakelet now, a nice new feature, is that you can embed a Flipgrid in. So I asked them to put a Flipgrid inside of what they've learned from doing that. And my last example, and I know this is a lot, but like I say, I'm very passionate about Wakelet and what it can do for you. At our school, what we end up doing too is creating basically electronic newsletters for each month. So when we do tweets, or we have an Instagram account that's tied to our Twitter account, what we're able to do is to take those tweets and put them in a monthly newsletter. So you can kind of see, if you want to know what O'Neill's all about and what's going on at our school, you can take a look through our tweets and things that we've been doing in class, retweeting, things that we're into, guest speakers, all of those type of things can go into one Wakelet, and then you can share it with your community and all that. So that's that's a lot. I hope I answered your question okay. But as you can see, that's a lot of ways you can use Wakelet.
Absolutely. And I guess some of my kind of key things there is like, in our school division, we're really big on promoting and implementing the ISTE standards. And like, even though the ISTE standards are American, like there's key pieces on, like collaboration and even like digital citizenship even ties into something like Wakelet, and finding quality resources, which I know that you're doing a lot of work with right now. One of my favorite things in Wakelet, even from an accessibility standpoint, is the Immersive Reader. And I'm assuming, are you familiar with the Immersive Reader? Have you played around with it?
Yeah, well, that's kind of a cool thing with Wakelet. It was basically purchased and taken under the wing of Microsoft. So that Immersive Reader has got, you can find it in Flipgrid now. Even Minecraft Education Edition has it as well. So yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, so the Immersive Reader, for those of you who don't know, it is a tool which will read the content for you. There's also a picture dictionary. There is a line follower. You can change the backgrounds to different colors. You can change the fonts. You can even pull out parts of speech. And so that is one of my favorite tools that when I'm showcasing technology to teachers. And Dean and I are both Microsoft schools, and so whenever I'm using, Word Online, I always showcase the Immersive Reader because it is such a powerful tool.
Yeah, it's a game changer for sure. I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So this kind of brings me into my next question too, is what other tools are you using with students to help curate their learning?
Well, I mean, even just get them to understand whatever browser they're using, how to use their bookmarks.
Hmm.
I used to use things like I think it was Dijo. I can't remember if I'm saying it right, but there's some bookmark curating things. But I was just getting them to use it on their browser because now, like, you can share your browser, and log in with it, whether it's Firefox or Chrome, and kind of share that a little bit. Another thing that we use at our school is called Noodle Tools, and especially using our resource library, so kids can log in accounts there, and it's really great for research. They can curate their research, and it will help them write their bibliographies or their works cited. They can even go in there and put notes. It's a really robust tool, so especially with social studies, that's something that we've been using. I also like to use even something like Flipgrid to curate, where the kids would go in, and they would talk about what they're learning about and curate it that way. And because we're a Microsoft school as well, I also like using OneNote. OneNote's a great way with that. Like, I can give them their digital binder, but they all have their little own digital binders that can go in and make their own pages and curate information that way too. So
Yeah, they're
there's a
plastic.
couple more tools in the tool chest.
Absolutely. And I know that Dean and I are both taking our masters in the same class. And I know that Dean has spent a lot of time kind of looking at like fact checking sites. And I know that we had Mary Beth Hertz come into our class, and she discussed some of the different tools that she uses. And I think, with Wakelet and some of these other tools that we're using to curate, you can create very powerful lists that are vetted, and they provide different. You can provide different opinions, and it would really, I think, it really benefits our students and to learn about how to navigate our world in such kind of a polarized world right now.
Yeah, I know. It's a perfect lead in to what you're saying, because I just interviewed a gentleman. His name's Howard Rheingold, and he wrote a book called NetSmarts, and he talked about triangulation, like looking at least different three sources, to try to find that, not just one and then retweeting it or whatever. So I agree with you 100%. Something like Wakelet, you can have a topic, and then you can go and you can curate and put, three or four, even more, whether it's about the author or whatever. And you can really take a look and do kind of like what we talked about in class too with the lateral reading. You can really set that up in Wakelet really nice and go in there and really kind of, like you said, vet through the materials and really make an informed decision and be a good digital citizen, like we're talking about. So yeah, great point.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and so just continuing on our list of questions here, we have two more. So this one here is, what age group would you encourage the student use of Wakelet?
Well, I teach high school, and especially like grade 9 through 12, and the grade 9s had absolutely no problem with it. They were doing well. I could see middle years as well. It's a really easy tool. There's even an extension right now that you can put on your browser, and you can click on your browser, and then, whatever website you're on, it will automatically put things in. So with 2 clicks, you're building a Wakelet. But I even think it's a tool, right? So however the teacher envisions it, if you have a primary teacher that sets up a Wakelet and has a little station where the kids can kind of do their Flipgrid inside of there and then drag a picture in or something like that, I think primary could use it well. And obviously even post-secondary, it's been a great tool, even for old people like me. So I think it definitely runs the gamut for sure. And it just depends on what you need it for.
Yeah, for sure. And, just kind of with us just talking, it's just stirring up so many more ideas in my head of how I would use Wakelet. So even if I was to promote this to a teacher, being a tech coach, lots of teachers, they may struggle with like organizing content to show their kids or things like that. Or if you're like me and have a million tabs open, you can easily kind of organize your classes through Wakelet and provide those resources and make those lists and go back to them and show students and share that work out too. So it's super easy to share, and especially with the kind of the tie-ins with Microsoft, I believe it probably even makes it easier.
Yeah.
And the one of the things I really like is the ability to embed your Wakelets too. And so I know that Dean, in your blog, you often will embed your Wakelets, and it just kind of creates a scrolling list. So
Yeah. Well, I was laughing a little bit there because, yeah, I still have lots of tabs, but you're exactly right. It definitely gives me a chance to condense things, and that because I can kind of be a little bit of a pack rat when it comes to websites and stuff. So even with my major project that we're doing right now, but yeah, the embedding is really cool, and you can change the size of it and stuff, and have it fit in. So yeah, that's definitely a huge feature of it.
And I think even now, I don't know if you could before, but I know now for sure that you can change the style of the way that you present your information. So if you're familiar with Padlet, I know Padlet kind of have the same little features where you can kind of have all your posts kind of all over the place. So you can kind of do that
Yeah, I
with.
think they call it a mood board or something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, there's kind of different customization options that you can use in Wakelet. So,
Yeah.
And this brings us to our last question. So how can we encourage students to be critical of the resources that they save?
Well, again, kind of like we were talking about a little bit before, and what our class is talking about. In an interview we had with Mary Beth was right on. Just to have some tools in the tool chest, whether they have something like Snopes or something like Polyfact Check. There's Canadian ones out there too, or knowing how to use something like Google reverse image search. Those type of tools, and put that in a Wakelet, and then take your sources that you find and run them through a few of those things and see where they check out. I think would be a great way to use Wakelet, and kind of be like a way to, it'd be kind of an all-in-one fact-checking machine for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. What I really like about kind of all these different tools and with the job that I have is just the ability to see how all these different things you can kind of connect them together and really make effective teaching.
Yeah. Well, and another thing you can do with that too is you could take your Wakelet and you can share it with a partner, right? So you can get another set of eyes, or share it with the teacher too. So the teacher can say, well, sometimes those are the best ways to be critical thinkers, is to have a second set of eyes on it too. And that's a really great feature. And you had mentioned that about being part of the ISTE standards, and something like that. That redefines education when you talk about like something like the SAMR model or whatever.
Absolutely.
And Wakelet allows you to do that for sure.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of my big things right now too, is like how can we take some of these tools and how can I showcase these tools to teachers to get beyond the first half of SAMR, the substitution and augmentation, I think are the first two. And so like how can we get into the modification and
Redefinition.
Thank you. Yeah. So using Wakelet and being able to collaborate and embed those features elsewhere. Those are how you get into that second half of summer where we want our teachers to be. So.
Well, I really think too that we're supposed to prepare students for their future, and I think that is the students' future, right? They're going to be working not in a little silo. They're going to have access to all this. So how do you collaborate and curate and bring all these information in, and then make sense of it all? So I think we're doing our students a really important service by offering a tool and figuring out how to use that tool to get the job done, what they need.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So I think that brings us to our end here, Dean. Thank you so much for sharing all your knowledge of Wakelet. It's so good to see and talk with someone who's used it quite extensively in the classroom. So I know Wakelet being fairly recent, it kind of popped up right after I was done in the classroom, so I kind of missed out on that boat. But I'm super excited to hopefully share this with other teachers and get them on the Wakelet wave. So
yeah, well, yeah, and that's another thing. I'm glad you said Wakelet wave. They're really great online, the whole Wakelet team. If you just go at Wakelet and give them a follow or put the hashtag Wakelet wave, they're really good for sending things out. They have an ambassador program, and I think they just launched like kind of a little Wakelet school you can go in that. So there's tons of resources online that you can reach out, and tons of people that'll help you and probably come up with a bunch of ideas we didn't even myself anyways don't even know.
Yeah, we just touched the surface. I think I know that I get emails all the time I'm a Wakelet ambassador as well as you, and like I get emails all the time of like different educational things and like top tips for Wakelet and education and things like that. So that's really helping out with my major project as well. So Yes, well, thanks again, Dean, and I'm
My
looking
pleasure.
forward to chatting with you again.
Awesome. Anytime. Have a
All right,
great one.
bye.